I want you to picture this scenario. Imagine you start a brand new job and right away you'd meet two of your new coworkers. Their names are Kyle and Deborah. Both of them are going to be working in the same department as you, but you're not going to be interacting with them on a regular basis, and they report to other people than you. After meeting both of them, you dive right into your first few weeks of work, and in that time, Deborah and you have started a sort of friendship. She checks on you every couple days to see how you're doing, if you have questions, and just making sure everything's good. The interactions are brief but pleasant, and then both of you kind of just move on and return to your work. When you see Kyle, he's always in a rush, going from here to there. He says hello, he seems like a nice person, but he just seems really spaced out. You think, no worries, he's just got a lot going on. But one day, you need to ask Kyle for help on a project, and you go to him because your boss says he has information that will help you out. But when you come to him, he's working frantically as usual. You don't want to interrupt him, but you're like, I need to talk to him. But you decide to wait a minute and see if he recognizes you. But he doesn't, he just keeps working. Finally, you call out to him and he just turns around and looks fairly annoyed. You ask him if he can send you some information that you'll need, that you're putting together for this report, and he says, yep, no problem, I'll get it to you by Friday. Thursday comes around, and you still haven't heard anything from Kyle. Now, you don't want to bug him because it technically still isn't Friday, but you know there might be a good chance he's kind of forgotten about it. You decide, you know what, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and just leave him be. Then Friday comes around, and there's still no word. You send an email to follow up asking for that information, and you get a terse response that basically says he knows, he's going to get it to you still, it'll be fine. But now you're annoyed, and you're thinking about sending a snarky email back to him, but you decide, I'm going to bite my tongue, and instead, though, you send what comes across as a passive-aggressive email that has a lot of frustration, a frustrated tone in it. Now, an hour later, your boss calls you into their office and asks, what's the issue between you and Kyle? You say there's no issue, and you're also kind of surprised how your boss even found this out. And you tell your boss that you had asked Kyle to get something for you to finish the report that your boss wanted. And you tell him that Kyle said he'd get it to you by Friday, but he never did. You explain, like, yeah, you sent a little bit of a, snarky email or passive-aggressive email because you had reminded him and you still need that information. Now, your boss tells you that Kyle's boss called them and said you weren't respecting Kyle's time by having him do something without getting the okay from his boss. And something that you need to keep in mind for the future is you need to be careful how you respond to emails. So, now you're mad at Kyle and his boss. While your boss understands where you're coming from and gives you some more time to get the project done, because Kyle's boss told your boss that the information will get to you by next Friday, it's going to be fine, but here's the issue. You now have broken relationships all over the place. Your relationship with Kyle is damaged, and now you just kind of think he's a jerk, and you kind of think he's a little bit of a snitch. I mean, he did go behind your back. The relationship with his boss is broken because you feel like they went behind your back and were complaining to your boss about you, and now you're a little bit annoyed at your boss because it didn't feel like they were really backing you up, because they were the originally ones that asked you to get this project done on Friday in the first place. So before we continue, how do you think this situation would have turned out if we swapped Kyle for Deborah? Even if there was a misunderstanding, since you and Deborah have a good relationship, chances are she'd work pretty hard to get you that information, and if they forgot, you would be much more willing to give them more leeway. You may have gone to your boss right away and said, here's what's going on. I talked to Deborah about getting this information, but she had a lot coming up. Is it okay if I get it to you next week? And then your boss says fine, and everyone just moves on. So why is this? Well, the simple answer is you and Deborah had trust banks that were much more full than yours and Kyle's. Since there wasn't any trust between you and Kyle, any withdrawal, the email, re-requesting information in a not-so-great manner, caused like bankruptcy between the two of you. Even your initial request of information seemed to irate Kyle because there was no trust built, and you didn't explain to him why you needed the information when you did, and you didn't do it in the right way either. It kind of annoyed him. So now, had this been Deborah, Even if you needed to follow up with her about getting information, very little trust would have been lost because your bank had gotten to the point that a small thing like this would have caused a tiny withdrawal or any withdrawal, and you wouldn't even have noticed it anyway. And besides, whatever withdrawal you would have made, it would have been quickly refilled by your mutual understanding. So, here's some tips to keep your trust bank full with people. Number 1, speak often and touch base. Don't make everything about your work when you do it either. Be genuine with your interactions with them. Just by simply talking and checking out people's days going, building, a rapport with them, what they like, what they don't like, finding out how they communicate, how they like to get information from you, how they want to get information to you, all those little things. But the important thing is to be genuine. Number 2, offer to help them when you can. People remember kindness and will reciprocate. Even if it's not necessarily an invitation at that moment that you're going to help them, just say, hey, anytime you need help, just let me know. I'll definitely, see what I can do and help you get the job done. Make it casual, but let people know that you're available to be there for them. Number 3, do things with intent. Let them know what you need and why you need it. People hate the you don't need to know or just being left in the dark. One of the things you could have done when you sent the email is said something simply like, Dear Kyle, I'm wondering if you can get this information to me by Friday. I need it because my boss is putting together a report for their boss, and they said, hey, you had worked on this information in the past. It would really be helpful, and I can check in with you on Thursday, and if there's anything you need me to do to help you get this information gathered, definitely let me know. Cool. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon. End of story. You were polite. You said you'd follow up, and you told them what you needed and why. And then they're not guessing, and they're just thinking, okay, why is this person asking me for this information? Don't they know I have 1.5 million things going on? Number 4, if you are in a new job, make it a point in your first 90 days to really establish a foundation with the people you work with. Learn who reports to who and the right ways to communicate with the people that are there. So a lot of times when you are in an interview, they're going to ask you, what do you think your first 90 days will look like? This is a really good opportunity to say, I'm going to learn my job. You want to emphasize that you're going to learn your job, but even more than learning the technical parts of your job is learning who you work with and understanding how the place operates. Understanding who, if you need to get something from someone else, is there a protocol in getting that information? Do I need to talk to their supervisor? If I volunteer my time, do I have to get help, or do I have to get permission from my supervisor to support that other person? It's really important to start building the trust foundation, the trust bank from day one. Number 5, keep your boss in the loop all the time. Update them on what you've done and what deadlines you've given people. Help your boss help you. If you don't, you'll continue to have issues building up the trust bank between the two of you. Here's the thing. A lot of people kind of have this sort of attitude, and I am guilty of this too. This was a mistake I made a lot in my career early on. I don't need to bother my boss with information that they don't need to know. Here's the thing. You're not hurting anything by letting your boss know what's going on and what you're doing. If you were to simply say, hey, I know you asked me for this information. I just want to let you know I'm going to ask John to get this information to me or Kyle, sorry. If I'm going to ask Kyle to get this information for me, or give me this information to me by Friday, and I'm going to follow up with them on Thursday. Here's the thing. Your boss may know things about how Kyle works than you, and they may be like, yeah, I wouldn't give Kyle until Friday. I would maybe give him till another week after that because Kyle's really spacey and he doesn't like being broadsided or blindsided with people asking him to do things out of the blue. That way also, too, your boss may say, great idea, but here, let me do this. I'm going to see Kyle's boss later on in the day today. Let me run it by them to make sure they're cool with it because right now Kyle's got a lot going on and their boss may not appreciate you asking them for information. So let me touch base with them first, and then I'll let you know if you can kind of continue to have that conversation. Also, if you had talked to your boss too, when their boss comes and says something to your boss, they could say, hey, you know what? I gave that person the okay to talk to Kyle. You know, it's just, I need this report because the big boss needs this information. So again, help your boss help you by keeping them in the loop. Anyways, it's, again, finally, just keep that trust bank filled. It's really, really important. The more you have, because eventually you're going to have to make a withdrawal from that bank at some point. And again, if your bank is low, you're gonna bankrupt, and that's gonna completely damage to the relationship to a point where you may not be able to come back from it. So just make sure you spend the time, do the groundwork, build your trust bank by doing these 5 things. And I promise you, in the future, when you have conflicts that need to be resolved, they're going to be resolved much more smooth than if you didn't take the time to work on it. Anyways, if you have any more questions, feel free to shoot me an email. If you have an example of this and would like to share it, definitely by all means let me know. I'd love to hear it. And if you have any more tips for how you keep your trust bank full with people when you start a new job too, please let me know as well. Again, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a like and a comment and a subscription or subscribe. That would be great. Also, check out my website, www.pbeatty.com. Download a free copy of my ebook. And with that, I'm going to end this video, and I will talk to you all soon.